So now I'm going to share with you actually getting into Access. Just take a few minutes to share that with you. See if I can, there we go. Okay. So in there. Looks a little different. Doesn't look anything like anything you've worked with before. It doesn't have all of the tabs in the ribbon. It's what we call a living piece of software. So the very first thing you're going to want to do when you open up an Access database is you're going to want to save it immediately. You'll enable it, and then you're going to save it. Inside your database are all of these objects. We have tables, we have queries, we have forms, and we have reports. All of these are inside this file. So the tabs that we have are specific for database management. So you don't have a lot of undo. It's living, so when you make modifications, it's updated and live. So the information is constantly being updated. So when you do this, you're going to want to make sure that you save it before you begin. Know where you're saving it. Save it in your documents. Save it somewhere where you know how to access it. Problem is, a lot of students will save this in a download, in the download folder. My problem with that is, sometimes once you do that, you can't always gain access to it to upload it into the assignment. So anyway, you want to make sure that you know where it is. You're going to open this. There are other ways to organize these objects. I can do it with tables and related views. Okay, so these are all the tables and their related views. You can just play around with this. I like object type because then I can tell where my tables are. I can see my queries. When you come in, they're going to have you check this table to make sure that your information's in there. Once a table's open, you can click the X over here and close it. You could also right-click on the tab and close it. These are my tables. I'm just going to open one. You can navigate through here. Once you've opened a table, you can actually change the view. So in this case, I'm going to go back and you're going to, first of all, let me back up. So once we've opened this table, let's look at the tabs first, sorry. We have File, we have Home. So File is the same thing we've always seen. We have Home. A lot we can do here, but we can cut and paste, we can filter, and we can do stuff with records, we can spell check, that's where it is. We can create from scratch, we can create tables, we can queries, forms, and reports. We can select, we can bring in or import external data and build databases based on that. And here are the database tools, and we'll take a look at this in a minute, but this is where we build those relationships. And then of course there's the help. Let me just open clients. Once we open a table, you're going to see that we have some table tools. We have fields tab, we have tables tab. So we can look at all kinds of stuff in our tables. But what I really want to do is click on this view over here. When I click on view, I have the ability, this is the, I can go into the design view. This is the design view where I can define each one of my table field names. And I can define the type of data that that field can contain. Okay. The other thing, this is how we preserve the integrity. So consultant ID has to be a number. It can't be a date, time. It can't be like Social Security number would be a number. Phone number could be a number. But we can also define how that's going to look. So on Social Security number, we can put the parentheses. Is enter that information. You don't have to play around with format. But we have the ability in this screen to define the type of data that that field can contain. So that would prevent us from putting your Social Security number into your last name field or your security number into a zip code field, something like that. We could define a zip code to be 5 characters long. So Your Social Security is what? 9 records, right? Let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 characters long. So I could define your Social Security field as 9 characters number, and your phone number as, let's see, 4, 5, 7, 8, 10, right? So I can define at that level to preserve the integrity. So on each one of these, you can go in and take a look at the design view. Let me go back to this design view for a second. Do you see this piece right here? Little symbol right here. That means that this is the primary key. Primary keys are used to preserve the integrity of data, of table or data information or tables, meaning that we would make a primary key on a field of information that we would not allow to be duplicated. So we probably have a primary key as your student ID, because we certainly duplicate the student ID, so that would become extremely confusing. And so we would probably have a table with on your student table, the primary key would be your student ID. When we get down here to queries, we can actually take a look at the design view. So this is a little bit different. It shows me my tables, but it shows me what the report is going to look like. So if I go back over, I have what? I have client ID, client name, employee, contract signed, project start, and consultant ID. They are all coming from the table client, right? So if I go back over here and look at my datasheet view, those are the fields of information that I have. Okay. Back over my design view. And then what I'm doing is I'm going to sort these by client name in ascending order. And I'm going to display all of these. Now you can do different kinds of queries. But this is what the screen is going to look like when you get into doing that. I'll walk you through doing this. When you set these up, you'll click run, and then you can do a save as. Let's go back. And then here's the SQL view. So what we're going to do is we're going to select client, the table being client, field name, client ID, table client, client name, employees, contract signed, project started, start, and consultant ID. We're going to select from client, order by client table by the field client name. And so that's exactly what this design view is telling us. Let's look at another one. Okay, so this design view, we got all kinds of stuff going on. We're actually using 2 different tables for our results, but we're using 3 tables. And what we're seeing here is that this is the entity relationship diagram. I have a one-to-many relationship between client and client software. And I have a many-to-many relationship between client software and software component. Now, the way that these links are set up, okay, is that when I want to create a relationship, I will click on the field of information I want linked to the field of information I want linked in my other table. So it's a click and drag to that link. So I don't think I have anything here I can play with, but in this case, I've got client ID linked to client ID over here. One-to-many relationship. I can right click on this. I can join properties. I'm going to edit the relationship. But what it's telling me is that I'm joining my left table with my right table, and I'm going to only include certain fields of information. Let's look at this one. No, this is a join. I just want to take a look at it. There's going to be one, and let me see, maybe this one has it. That's all joins. Okay. There's going to be one where you'll create a relationship, and it's going to allow you to edit the relationship. It'll say edit properties here. And And when it does that, it's going to ask if you want to enforce referential integrity. Just listen to me for a second. If you have a problem making that work, and what that means is you have a record in one table that doesn't have a match in the other table. I don't think I have one. I don't think I have one I can show you in this database. No, not going to let me do it. Anyway, so this is your query. And you can go in to create your query from scratch, okay? The other thing you can do is you can create your query from a design view. And this is where you can add your tables, your fields, whatever kind of information you want to have in there. Let's just say I want to take my client table up here. I can add them. Okay, that shows me my relationship. Let's see if this, okay, we're going to close that. Nope, that's going to be a join anyway. Okay, but this is how you would do it. And then if you wanted to add these, you can double click on them and they'll populate down here. It will show you the field name. It will show you the table that the data is going to come from. Okay, so queries. Forms, all this does is takes our table and makes it into a format that makes it easier for us to enter data. You can look down here and find out how many records are in this table. I can rotate through them. I can change my view to datasheet view if I prefer. I can go to design view to take a look at the back. Okay. Let me get back here. So that's going to be dealing with, and you can enter data here. I can go to the end, and I can actually enter data if I wanted to be able to. If I want to enter a new blank record, and I can enter some information here. It would be automatically saved to my table. Reports, this is the stuff that's generated at the very end. If, as you're capturing data, I can design reports. You'll get into this eventually, but if I take a look at the layout view, I'm laying out the way I want my report to work. Now understand, in databasing, we typically do not store calculated fields. Primarily because when we first started, we would never outgrow a 20 meg hard drive. That's what Bill Gates said. Of course, how many terabytes are we at now? I don't think any of the software would even install on a 20 meg hard drive. So we just decided at that point in time that we really wouldn't save calculated fields. We can create them, but we typically don't store them. But here's our report. And when you finish with your lab, in the reports, you'll get a grading report. It will look like this. It'll talk about the tasks that you've completed, or if you haven't completed them, what you need to do. You can go back and fix those, and it tells you the points just like everything else. But it's going to be in this grading report down here. Any questions about this, please let me know. Again, we have the Create tab. You're going to find your spell checker on your Home tab. Spelling right there. In your files, when you do a save as, you have multiple ways that you can save this. When you save an object, this is when you're saving a query or a form or something like that. And what you're doing is you're saving it inside your Access database. Okay, you're saving it inside your Access database. So when you go to upload your Access file, it's going to have all of these objects inside. Tables, queries, forms. So I'm going to stop sharing at this point. I'm going to stop recording. If you have questions, please let me know. Thanks for listening.